They don't want you to know this, because if everyone found out, the system would collapse overnight. Right now, while you're trading your time for a single paycheck, there are people earning a second salary, without lifting a finger. They discovered a hidden trick, one that turns every dollar you already earn into another silent stream of income. And the most shocking part? You've seen it before. It's right in front of you. You just never realized how it really works. Stay until the end, because once you understand this mechanism, you'll never look at your job, your money, or your salary the same way again. And if this already sounds too good to be true, hit subscribe, because what's coming next will make you question everything you were taught about work and wealth. They told you a stable paycheck was security, that having a good job, paying your bills on time, and saving a little each month meant you were winning at life. But here's the scandal. That stability is the most sophisticated trap ever invented, because while you think you're building safety, the system is quietly building dependence. Your salary is not designed to make you free. It's designed to keep you tame. Every month, the same rhythm, money in, money out, bills, rent, groceries, taxes. You start every 30 days from zero again, like a treadmill that never stops. And yet, society applauds you. You're responsible, they say. But tell me, how responsible is a system that rewards you for being stuck? Because the truth is, the more you rely on your salary, the less control you actually have. Your boss decides your value. The government decides your taxes. Inflation decides your real income. Everyone gets a piece, except you. That's why people who seem to earn less than you sometimes live better, because they learn the one thing the system hides. Money works harder than humans ever will. And before we go deeper, if this hits something inside you, hit the like button now. It tells me you're not asleep like the rest. You're about to see what happens when your money starts working instead of against you. That's where the real second salary begins. You wake up every day believing you're free, but your alarm clock rings like a guard's whistle. You rush to work, not because you want to, but because your survival depends on it. That's not freedom. That's a well-decorated prison. You see, the walls aren't made of concrete. They're made of habits. The habit of trading time for money. The habit of believing that a steady job is the same as financial peace. The habit of fear of losing what little you have. And the system loves it. It feeds on that fear. It convinces you that stability equals safety, when in reality, stability is stagnation in disguise. You're not growing. You're maintaining. You're not winning. You're enduring. Look around. The model citizens who never question the rules, who do everything right, they're still broke. Not because they're lazy, but because they're obedient. They follow the manual that was never meant to make them rich. And here's the cruel part. The moment you stop running, you feel the panic. You check your balance, see your bills, and tell yourself, I can't stop. I can't risk it. That panic is the leash. That's how the system keeps you chained, with invisible ropes of responsibility and fear. But what if I told you that rope can be cut, not by working harder, but by learning the one hidden principle that the rich quietly obey? A principle that transforms your paycheck from a trap to a tool. If you've ever felt that you're working hard but never moving forward, drop a comment below. You're about to see exactly why that happens, because the next chapter reveals the mechanism no one explains, how the rich create a second salary without a second job. Here's the truth no one dares to say out loud. The rich don't work harder. They work differently. While most people use their salary to survive, they use it to multiply. Imagine this. Two people earn the same paycheck. One spends it all. Bills, rent, subscription, a little reward at the end of the month. The other turns part of that same paycheck into soldiers, tiny digital workers that never sleep, never eat, never call in sick. While the first person wakes up to another month of effort, the second wakes up to money that grew overnight. That's the trick. It's not magic, it's leverage. They don't save to protect money. They deploy it to make more. And every dollar they release becomes a worker inside an invisible factory that keeps running even while they rest. You've been taught to hold your money tight, to fear losing it. But in truth, money only multiplies when it moves. Keeping it still is like locking seeds in a jar and expecting a forest to grow. And here's the scandal the banks don't want you to understand. While you save your cash, they're lending your money, earning 10x what they pay you in interest. They've been running this trick for centuries, turning your security into their income. So if you ever wondered how people seem to suddenly build wealth, it's because their dollars started working while yours stayed in a cage. If this already opened your eyes, take 2 seconds and hit like. It tells the algorithm to show this truth to more people trapped in the same game. Now you know the how. But next, we'll talk about the when, the precise moment when your money starts working faster than you do. That's when the game flips forever. Every wealthy has a breaking at invisible when math stuff against. For most, it happens quietly, somewhere around the first $100,000. No fireworks, no applause, just and suddenly everything. At first, building wealth, exhaust, endless, lonely. But once that snowball, gravity, it starts. When you reach that point, something magical happens. Your money finally begins to run faster than your effort. A 10% return on $100,000 isn't just numbers, it's a second paycheck you didn't have to earn. While others still wake up to alarms, you wake up to growth. You stop chasing and start steering. And that shift isn't just financial, it's psychological. You stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like an architect. Instead of asking, how can I make more? You start asking, how can what I already have work harder? That's the real turning point. When you realize time is no longer your main asset, systems are. You start seeing your income like a machine. Inputs, outputs, gears that never stop spinning. And for the first time, you understand that the goal isn't to escape work. It's to build engines that work for you. Quick pause. If this part gave you chills or made you rethink your next financial move, type in the comments. Let's see how many of us are done working against the system. Because the next phase is where the real acceleration begins, when structure replaces effort, and your life stops being about survival and becomes about strategy. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Wealth doesn't grow because you work harder. It grows because you remove friction. Most people think discipline means waking up earlier, saying no to coffee, or tracking every expense. But the real secret is automation. Systems don't get tired. They don't get emotional. They don't open shopping apps at midnight. They just work, silently, consistent, perfect. This is the moment where rich people separate from the rest. While the average person manages money manually, the wealthy design machine. Automatic transfers after every paycheck. Auto investments into index funds. Recurring debt payments that kill interest while you sleep. Every action becomes a gear. Every gear spins faster than the last, until one day your system becomes a silent engine, running 24/7 in the background, compounding, building, expanding. The irony? Once you stop trying to control everything, control finally becomes yours. Think about it. The average person spends hours thinking about money, stressing, planning, worrying. The wealthy spend hours designing, then forget about them. That's why one group stays trapped in busy survival, while the other enjoys automatic freedom. So if you're serious about building your second paycheck, the one that comes from systems, not sweat, stop managing your money like a human. Start managing it like a machine. Drop an emoji in the comments if you want to start building your own silent engine. I'll know exactly who's part of this movement. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Not as a favor, but as a signal, because what comes next isn't theory. It's the exact blueprint that turns stability into momentum. Here's the paradox that blows people's minds. The rich don't take more risks, they take calculated control. Most people chase comfort first and growth later. They say, when I have more money, then I'll invest. But the wealthy flip that logic upside down. They invest first, and that's why they always have more. See, poor and middle-class minds think in protection. How do I keep what I have? Rich minds think in multiplication. How can I make what I have create more? It's a small difference in language, but a massive shift in results. While the average person hides their money from risk, the wealthy redefine risk. For them, the real danger isn't losing money. It's staying still while inflation eats it alive. That's why they use tools most people fear. Credit as leverage, debt as a weapon, time as currency. They let systems do what emotions never could. They don't panic during downturn. They prepare. They don't hope for luck. They engineer outcome. The average person says, I wish I could. The wealthy say, what needs to change so I can? And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're still working for every dollar, you're living in a system designed to keep you tired. But the day you learn to make your dollars work for you, you've broken the algorithm. That's why I always say, your biggest limitation isn't your income, it's your perspective. Quick pause. If this hit you deep, hit the like button. Not for the algorithm, but to tell it you're not afraid to think differently. Because the next chapter will shake that mindset even more. It's where the entire script flips, when money stops being a goal and becomes your tool of rebellion. At some point, the wealthy stop playing by the rules, not because they cheat, but because they see the rules for what they are. The system wasn't built to make you rich. It was built to keep you working, consuming, and believing that playing it safe is the smart choice. But the rich, they rebel, quietly, strategically. They use the same banks, but in reverse. They borrow when others save. They invest when others panic. They buy when fear is loud and sell when greed blinds everyone else. Their secret isn't luck. It's psychological distance. They've detached emotion from money, And that's their ultimate advantage. Where the average person feels anxiety, they feel opportunity. Where the crowd hesitates, they move. And this rebellion isn't loud. It's mathematical. Every decision compounds. Every risk calculated. Every crazy move turns into freedom later. Here's the part nobody admits. To build wealth, you must become uncomfortable with comfort. You must question everything. Your habits, your spending, your so-called security. Because the truth is brutal. Comfort is the cage where most dreams die. The wealthy think rebellion means creation. They build systems, businesses, and assets that let them live life on their terms. And when they finally look back, they realize the rebellion wasn't against society. It was against their old self, the one who thought small, feared loss, and worshipped stability. If this idea of rebellion, drop A in the comments. It's not a flex. It's a declaration that you're done obeying the system that profits your exhaustion. And if you're still here, you're different. You don't scroll past it, you study it. So make sure you're subscribed, because in the next I'll show you the final transformation where freedom stops being a dream and becomes you. Here's the truth no one prepares you for. The hardest part isn't getting rich, it's staying free. Because once you build system, once the snowball starts rolling, something subtle but dangerous creeps in. Comfort. And that comfort whispered, you've made it. Slow down. Enjoy. That's how most people lose everything, not through failure, but through fatigue. Freedom has a cost, and that cost is awareness. You have to keep seeing the game, even when you've learned how to win it. Because the moment you stop paying attention, the system finds a way to pull you back. Inflation steals quietly, habits soften slowly, and soon you're back where you started. Except now, the cage feels familiar. The rich who stay free know this. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. They automate, they delegate, they simplify, not because they're control-free, but because they never want to depend on the system. They guard their peace like an empire. They track every flow like a heartbeat. And when people ask, why are you still so focused? They answer, because freedom isn't something you earn once, it's something you maintain forever. That's the final shift, when money stops being the goal and becomes your shield. It protects your time, your choices, your mind. You stop thinking about dollars and start thinking about impact. And in that moment, wealth becomes quiet. Not loud, not flashy, just stable, steady, inevitable. If this message hit deep, tell me in the comments what freedom means to you, because your answer might inspire someone still trapped in the first level. And if you've watched this far, you're already ahead of 99% of people. You didn't just consume this, you understood it. So hit that like, not for vanity, but to remind the algorithm that this is the kind of truth we need more of. And subscribe before you leave, because what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew about money. This isn't motivation. This is rebellion, disguised as strategy.